Mr. Gunn, always good to see you, sir. Thank you for your
too.
time. Goes without saying that you auditioned, I'd imagine, a lot of actors for this role.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, what did most actors get wrong about Superman that they just didn't understand about the character that David was able to actually get right?
Boy, it's really, it's hard. When you're casting a role, I think the general feeling is, oh, if you cast somebody over somebody else, they're the better actor. But really, a lot of times casting is finding the right person for the right role. So most people weren't doing anything wrong. They just didn't fit how I envisioned this Superman to be. Nick Hoult auditioned.
Sure.
He's a great actor. I mean, some might say he's better than David in certain ways. But he just didn't fit the role. And that's why he didn't get that, and that's why I kept him around and asked him to be Lex.
What was his interpretation of Superman that was different than David's?
Well, Nick brings you always, as much as you can transform yourself as a person, Nick he's just more controlled. And, one of the things that we were also doing was we were mixing and matching Lois's and Clark's when we were auditioning them. And so I wanted to make sure that we had that chemistry right. And the truth is Nick, who is a more controlled actor, had a really good chemistry with another Lois that was less controlled. So they were opposites. And David had better chemistry with Rachel because she's a very controlled actor. And David is a little bit more, loose. And that creates a different type of dynamism on screen.
That makes sense. When you are reintroducing someone like Superman to the world, you have to make every tiny decision. What shade of blue is his suit going to be? What does his hair look like? What glasses is Clark going to wear? Did you ever think his briefs were going to be as big of a decision coming into this? At the beginning of your career, tell a young James Gunn how big of a deal Superman's briefs are going to be to him.
Superman's briefs were the most controversial thing online.
Why do you think that is?
Because people are foolish. I think that it's...
There's our headline right there.
It's like, I had no clue when I started this that his briefs were such a topic of conversation. I'm a Superman fan. However, I'm not always on the Reddit threads. And I didn't know that when Henry Cavill didn't have briefs, that so many people were so upset and so many other people thought that was a great idea. So that when we came in, and all of a sudden, as soon as it was announced that I was doing Superman, and everybody online is saying trunks or no trunks, trunks or no trunks, I was shocked. Jim Lee, the head of DC Comics, came up to me and he said, so, is it going to be trunks or no trunks? And I was like, when did this become the most important thing in the world? I thought it was important that I show this character as a full human being who we believe in. No, it's the trunks.
It's the underwear, baby.
Underwear, yeah.
Oh, you made a good decision. I'm going to point out another great decision you made, which is bringing in Will Reeve.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to know what that meant to you, to bring him in, to have him on set, and what that experience was like having him on set, the moment that everyone saw him walk on set.
Well, I thought it was important to have the history of Superman as a part of this movie. Because at the end of the day, I'm not the creator of this movie. Superman is a great collaboration of many creators and many people throughout the years, going back to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in 1938, and all the comic book writers and the makers of the radio serial, the makers of the TV shows, and the serials and everything else. And I like to have that history as a part of it. So we have Will Reeve, Christopher Reeve's son, in a cameo in the movie. We have Jerry Siegel's grandsons are in the Daily Planet for the entire time. We had all the great Superman comic book writers come and hang out on set and watch a scene and see everybody and meet, Lex and David. I call Nick Lex and David.
Rightfully so. It tracks. Do you allow yourself? We had Will on Extra for the documentary, which was brilliant.
Yes. And
you just can't help but just geek out and ask him questions about questions I'm sure he's heard 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Do you allow yourself to geek out and ask him questions about his dad?
I don't.
No?
I don't. I mean, I know what it's like to be. I'm not a famous person's son, but I know what it's like to be, associated with one thing and just have people only ask you questions about that. And the truth is, I'm more interested in what Will does. He does some really cool stuff for the environment. He does some really cool stuff in his reporting, and so I like talking to him about those things. And we did talk a little bit about Chris because we put out the documentary together. So we talked about what that was like and the beautiful moments in that. when his brother took care of him in that movie and kind of replaced the father when his father passed because Matt was so young. So it's like, yeah.
The way that movie broke me and made me weep it was a beautiful documentary. I want to ask you about a phone call that you made and really what that phone call would have been like. Getting to bring back one of your OG Guardians cast members. What was it like when you got to reach out to Bradley Cooper and say, hey, I'd like more than your voice this time? Weirdly enough, his voice is kind of broken up. You actually use less of his voice in this one.
Yeah. I mean, he just has the one speech. Really, Bradley's just doing me a favor. He's a friend. We've stayed in close contact since the Guardians movies, and I admire him greatly as an actor and as a director. And so I just said, hey, will you do me a favor and come down and go to England? We're going to shoot you in a 3D environment, make a hologram of you, and you can play Jor-El. And he was like, okay.
Might we see him again?
Oh, you never know. You never know. It's possible.
Talking about things that are possible, I felt a little bad for you yesterday because I know you're in the middle of doing press, you're going around the world, got 10,000 questions being thrown at you, and that is the moment Matt Reeves makes the announcement, the Batman Part 2 script as finished.
Yeah.
Have you cracked it open?
I have not. In fact, I don't even have it yet because he's going to bring it to me today, I think.
I mean, if you wanted to do it right now.
Yeah. No, I didn't. No, Peter's read it, but I have not read it yet.
Is it safe to say, I know the front page was a little blurred. Is it safe to say it looked like the Batman Part 2? Is that fair?
The title, you mean?
The title? Is that a fair assumption?
I have no clue.
What do you run DC Studios? What do you mean you have no clue?
I don't name the movies.
You're James Gunn.
No, I know, but I didn't. I mean, it's like I don't know what it's called.
Fair enough.
I don't know what's on the cover at least.
All right, fair enough. Speaking of The Dark Knight, there are 10,000 things that you can't answer about that. But what I love about this movie is oftentimes seeing Superman's reaction to things, because he is so human that even though he is Superman, he has a very human reaction to things. What do you think his reaction is going to be the first time he sees a man dressed up as a bat?
Well, first of all, we don't know he hasn't already seen a man dressed up as a bat. So
tell me more, James Gunn.
But I think that, I think that he'd probably see a kindred spirit in that, another crazy person wearing a crazy costume, with a very different intent.
You touched on social media and people on social media, and social media plays a big part in this film as well. And a lot of us are pretty hawk-eyed on people who you follow. So the moment you follow someone on Instagram, we go, is that Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
How much should we read into, if you follow a popular female actress, what are their chances that person might be Wonder Woman?
50%, no.
That sounded much better than I thought it was going to be.
No. Like Adria, I followed Adria, Arjona on Instagram, but everybody came out. He just followed her. That means she's Wonder Woman. She'd be a great Wonder Woman, by the way. But she was in a movie that I made, 7 years ago. We've been friends and have known each other since that time. So I followed her then. I didn't just follow her. People just notice these things all the time.
James Gunn confirms Adria as Wonder Woman. Man, I got to tell you, as someone, listen, I love my dog more than anything in the world.
Oh, there he is.
She's a shelter girl. The way I was ready to pick up arms if anything happened to Crypto in this movie, it looked like there was a moment that this was about to become a full John Wick movie. Had anything happened to Crypto. I know you love dogs, you love animals as much as I do. What is that balance of, we can put Crypto in danger, but people are going to hate this movie if anything happens to Crypto too much?
I mean, what am I? I'm going to kill Crypto? It's like
you're James. You've killed worse, James Gunn.
Well, I think that's the great thing with being me, is that I've killed so many people that people love in movies that the stakes are always there and you never know what I'm going to do. So when Crypto's in danger, people, Crypto's in danger. But, the truth is I'm not killing Crypto in this movie, at least. Maybe the next one. Who knows?
James Gunn kills Crypto in Superman 2. I do have a bit of a nerdy question for you, man, because you have such a beautiful score in this movie, and there are those really great moments that you choose to just very, very subtly bring in John Williams.
Absolutely.
How do you decide whether or not a moment is worthy to bring in John Williams?
It was a delicate balance, and we talked a lot about with John Murphy and Dave Fleming, the composers, about where that would be used, and I really wanted to have original score in there, which we have plenty. We have a beautiful love theme by John and all sorts of stuff. But also, I wanted to use the Williams theme, but sort of. You reuse different pieces of it at different times, break it down, bring it back up again, and I think that both those two guys did an amazing job.
I love that. Really quick, one last nerdy question. I want you to imagine you could sit in a movie theater, watch this film, you're sitting next to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and you lean over and you go, "What'd you think about how I did this?" What is an aspect of the film that you would love to get their thoughts on?
Well, the whole thing. I mean, it would be amazing, but I also think that one of the greatest moments. The one moment I really shed a tear was when Jerry's grandsons read the script for the first time, and we brought them over to D.C. We gave them, they had to read the scripts in the office, and they came out and they got on the phone with me, and they were just effusive, and I'd never met them. And they were just effusive. They're like, "This is a Superman movie we've been waiting to see. This is, our grandfather would have been so proud." I'm fucking gonna cry now. So it's that meant a lot. That meant a lot.
We can't cry at the Superman junket, James Gunn. This is not a crying kind of junket. I can't thank you enough for doing this, man.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.